Hello, I'm Ed Haigh, and I wanted to spend a few minutes sharing with you some of our latest findings from the Chinese consulting market. Chinese consulting market's worth 2.9 billion in 2012. So it's a pretty sizable market, and it's growing pretty quickly as well. Growth of 10.4% between 2011 and 2012 makes it one of the fastest growing markets in the world, really. But by Chinese standards, that's not huge growth. Many people will have been used to growth levels much higher than that, and it's likely to feel quite tough for consulting firms in China at the moment. And I suspect that's compounded by the fact that there are very high expectations of the Chinese consulting market. We spoke to a lot of people who were leading their firm's operations in China who were saying that they were labouring under the burden of really huge expectations from their colleagues elsewhere in Europe and the US, who'd come to expect that continued extremely high levels of growth could continue to be delivered in China. And we're struggling to sort of reset expectations internally. In truth, at the moment, this is really a market of several contradictions. It's a market that, on the one hand, feels increasingly sophisticated and urbane, but at the same time can feel quite parochial and quite behind a lot of what we're used to in the West. It's a market that is no doubt westernising, but that doesn't appear to be labouring under any illusions that it's about to become Western. China isn't maturing into the US, China's maturing into a bigger China. It's a market that wants you as a consultant to be able to speak English, but also to be able to speak Mandarin, so it's both international and local at the same time. Perhaps the biggest contradiction really in the Chinese consulting market today is the sense that it is both big already, and indeed it sits within an economy that is huge, is the second largest economy in the world now, but that is at the same time emerging. And I think that's quite a difficult thing for us to grapple with when we research the Chinese consulting market, because we're used to emerging meaning small and mature meaning big, and this is something that really bucks that trend. So the Chinese consulting market is both emerging and really quite big at the same time. And I think in fact that feeds into what is perhaps the most important point about the Chinese consulting market today, which is that this is a market that hasn't really ever got started yet. The Chinese consulting market, you could say, is still in a nascent, let alone an emerging phase. Much of the consulting that's being done in China so far is being done by large multinational consulting firms for large multinational clients, and there's a sense in which the more local domestic Chinese consulting market hasn't really got started yet. So that's something we'll be following in a lot of detail over the coming years. I think it's the biggest opportunity and the biggest challenge for consulting firms operating in the region at the moment. And we still have very high expectations, as do many consulting firms, of what might be delivered once that barrier is overcome. I hope that's been helpful. If you'd like any more information, please don't hesitate to contact us. You'll find any of our contact details on our website. But for now, thank you very much.